Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today, it is Wednesday, the 7th of June, 2023. My name is Kerry Holzman, and today I have another mini PC review. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done one, so I think we'll do a few more here. Reminder, this Friday, 1 o'clock p.m., same time I am right now, I will be live with our good friend Mitch Morrison joining us as we do a very unique system build called The Cube. Hope you'll join us for that. And it's got some really cool mini PCs coming up. I got the router that I reviewed yesterday installed and functioning, and holy cow, it's amazing. I mean, so far, it's only been a day. I thought I was maxing out my Wi-Fi speeds on my old laptop. Turns out I wasn't. With this new Wi-Fi router, I can transfer files to my Synology at full wired speeds. I'm getting 110 megabytes per second, up from 80 from the Western Digital, from the Netgear Nighthawk RAX 120. I played around with the front screen on it a little bit, and it's very limited with what it can do, but I'll have an update for you here in the next week or two as I still get to know it a little better. But I might be in love. I think this router is very impressive. So far, it's subject to change. But this is where my channel is different from most, because I'm going to follow up my reviews with products that I'm most interested in to see how they are to live with, and do follow-up reviews with regards to, has it been reliable? Have I had any problems? Same goes with these mini PCs. A lot of these mini PCs I'm holding on to for follow-up reviews and comparisons. And so that's all stuff coming up. And basically, what ends up happening is if a manufacturer makes something that I really like, and I can tell you after 4 or 5 years, this thing has been amazing. And you can say, well, what good does that do me? That thing's 4 or 5 years old. They don't sell that anymore. And, you know, there's newer stuff out. What about the new stuff? Well, here's the thing. We have to get to understand the company. Does this company make quality products? Does this company, if they have a problem, do they deal with it in an expedient manner, or do they try to brush it off, or are they very slow to respond? All of this matters, because this tells us what we can come to expect from products from that company with regards to quality, support, if needed. And, you know, in that way, we can say, okay, the Intel NUC from 2013 that I reviewed and did a review about every other year with it tells me all I need to know about the Intel NUC line. It's never had a problem. And so when it was time to replace it 9 years later, what did I replace it with? An Intel NUC. And it's running fine. It's just a newer version from the same company, and I've never needed support on it. So that's an example. Now, the machine I have in front of you is Kamrui. They're a part of Ace Magician. You'll notice they look similar. They have very similar model names and numbers, so there's a little confusion there. But, you know, these manufacturers from Asia that don't necessarily have American headquarters, support can get a little difficult. And you need to understand that when you're buying some of these products that are sold at a very low price, one of the ways they're able to get the price low is by not having the overhead expenses of operations in every country. So I haven't had to deal with any support with any of the products from Ace Magician or Kamrui, except for driver issues, and they were very quick to respond. And I would say, you know, my 3 favorite mini PC manufacturers right now are Ace Magician / Kamrui, Minis Forum, and B-Link. Those are my top 3. And if we're looking at, you know, higher end name brand, it's got to be Intel and Asus. And Geekcom, they seem to be relabeling other people's things. So if it's all the same product from Asus that Geekcom is making, and all the same product from Intel that Geekcom is making, Geekcom saves you money. Geekcom is cheaper than Asus or Intel, but essentially sells exactly the same models. So something to bear in mind as well. There's also some pretty terrible Asian manufacturers of mini PCs. And I'll talk more about that later, but that's the kind of mini PC manufacturer that makes you wait forever for a reply or may not even reply to your email request at all. There are people that will put Windows 11 on a computer that doesn't support Windows 11. And when you say, how does this computer support Windows 11? And they say it's not compatible with Windows 11, but isn't Windows 11 installed? So what are you complaining about? You got to watch for those companies because basically they're deceiving the public. They think, hey, we put Windows 11 on it. So they bypass the checks and there's no offer for a refund. There's no apology. There's nothing to do to make it right. It's just the problem is with you. So we'll talk more about that. But thankfully, we've never had that issue with the top three, my top three. Again, Ace Magician / Kamrui, Minisform, and B-Link. So if I were going to buy a mini PC today, if it's going to be from one of the Asian manufacturers, in the sense that they don't have a traditional American headquarters, I would buy from one of those three. And if I had a bigger budget, then the other top three would be Intel, Asus, or Geekcom in the sense of higher end sort of business class machines. And then these would be more for home use or gaming. So if I'm looking at gaming, I definitely want to look at Minisform and B-Link for sure. So today, what I have in front of you is called an AM07 from Kamrui. And we're going to go over the Amazon page here in a minute. But first, I want to say thank you. I see a couple of super chats and contributions have come in. And let's see. Let me scroll some more. Paul O'Brien with a €2 contribution says, Carrie, have a Gatorade on me and chill out. Hey, I need to chill out when it's 100+ degrees Fahrenheit outside. Thank you for that. Rick Lakes contributes $10. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, I think we're good there. You guys rock. Thank you so much. For full disclosure, when you see products from Ace Magician / Kamrui, Minisform, or B-Link, in most cases, they are sending me the product for free in exchange for me to do an honest review. There's no contract. There's no NDA. It's all done on a gentleman's agreement, if you will, of just common courtesy and respect, because it's in the best interest of both of us. They like the exposure. I like the content. You guys want the content. Everybody wins. And I have nothing to hold me back from being brutally honest, whether I'm genuinely impressed or I feel like it's good, but it could use a little bit of this or that. That's what you're going to expect. That's what you should expect from videos from me as reviews. Furthermore, I have purchased about 4 or 5 mini PCs specifically to make reviews for. And when I purchase them, I let you know. But if I fail to do so, please call me out on it in the chat room and say, hey, was this provided or did you buy it? So this one was provided. It just came in. It's a brand new model. Mike Visions with a £2 contribution says, hello, Carrie, and everyone in chat. Hello, Mike. Thank you for your super chat contribution. A shout out and thanks to Camera Girl for today's thumbnail, of course, and to my sister for creating that amazing intro. Now, let's go over to the Amazon page because the time is of the essence on this because it's on sale and I don't know how long it's going to stay on sale. And I want you guys, if you're interested, to be able to buy it at a significant savings. So if we go over to my, let's see, OBS, window capture, turn that on. Okay, check this out. You can see the retail price on this is $539.99 or $540. But look right here. Save 50% using this promo code at checkout. So when you add this to your cart and you go to checkout, there's a place to add coupon code. It's going to cut that price right in half. So $540 in half is what, $269, something like that. So here's the thing. Why am I starting with the price? Well, These mini PCs range from the low budget sort of home theater PC, streaming PC, browsing the web, to the higher end of gaming. And you can always tell what kind of mini PC review this is going to be, or what kind of mini PC you're perusing online if you're shopping for them, by its price. The higher the price, the more powerful the mini PC, generally speaking. That's true far more times than it isn't. So the minute you look at that price and you see it's a $540 mini PC, well, that is not the upper echelon. It's not at the $1,000 price point that some gaming mini PCs can go for. Even with over $1,000 isn't unusual for a gaming mini PC. It's also not a $125 box of snails. So what is it? This is an AMD Ryzen 5. So you know the Ryzen has an Intel have this 3 series, 5 series, 7 series, and 9 series. 3 is your entry-level budget, 5 is your mid-range, 7 is your upper mid-range, and 9 is your high-performance enthusiast. That also means the bigger the number, the more power it consumes, the more heat it generates, and the more likely you're going to have fan noise. Okay? On the other hand, you go the opposite direction, you're going to have a very low power consumption. The machine will not be near as responsive or near as upgradable in most cases. It'll be far more limited as far as single channel or dual channel, or whether it's NVMe or SSD. It's sort of a beggars can't be choosers kind of bargain bin basement, basics, just the basics. Nothing wrong with just the basics. So we're kind of in the middle of that, sort of in the upper tier of the middle with this Ryzen 5 5560U. This is a 6-core, 12-thread processor that has that'll frequency up to 4 gigahertz. That's crazy. It comes with Windows 11 Pro, 16 gigs of DDR4, so it's not DDR5, and 512 gig of NVMe SSD, and it will support 3 displays at 4K output. So there's an HDMI out, a DisplayPort out, and a USB Type-c that you can use as a DisplayPort out, so that you can have 3 monitors simultaneously. It has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Now the Wi-Fi is only Wi-Fi 5. It's not Wi-Fi 6 or 6E, and it certainly isn't Wi-Fi 7 because that's not available yet. But the RAM is dual channel RAM. Okay. What do they say? Mini desktop computer powered by AMD Ryzen 5. Okay, it's great for home and office use, design work, and playing games. Yes, it can play games, but they're going to be a bit limited or lower resolution. Provides high quality operation, amazingly smooth experience. Okay, we'll see about that. I suspect it's going to be just fine. The mini PC is equipped with a high-speed dual-channel 16 gig DDR4 and 512 gig M2 SATA. Well, that says SATA and that says NVMe. So one of these is wrong. We'll figure that out, and we'll alert them to it. Up to 2 terabytes of storage. That's probably not right either. We can try and put a 4 terabyte drive in there and see if it recognizes it. I'm going to guess it's going to recognize it just fine. I think this is an old carryover, and I will verify it. And if in fact I am correct and this is not a true limit, I will let the manufacturer know so they can make those corrections. It's got AMD Radeon graphics, 6-core, 1600 megahertz advanced processing unit here, supporting 60 hertz 4K. Now this says 2 HDMI and 1 Type-c, and up here it says 1 HDMI and 1 DisplayPort. So what do we have in the box? I don't know. This is getting a little confusing, and this is what happens when companies copy and paste information. A lot of mini PCs in the family of a series of mini PCs they make may have very similar qualities. And so it's very common for people to copy and paste things. And so without proper proofreading, mistakes like this can happen, and it can leave you as a shopper baffled as to which bit of information is the right bit. So we're going to clear that up today. Now, the RJ45 ports on this, it's got 2 of them right there, if you notice it. And the picture there shows an HDMI and a DisplayPort, doesn't it? It does not show 2 HDMI. I suspect this area was copied and pasted, whereas the top area was probably written specifically for the machine. So we're going to go through that, and we'll also verify that it's Wi-Fi 5. Let's see what else does it say, up to 1,000 megabits. So they're not 2.5 gigahertz network adapters, but we're going to verify that. Mini PC comes with 2 USB 3s and 2 USB 2s and a Type-C for easy connection of various devices. USB-C supports 5 gigabits per second, so that's your 3.0 speed. Now here again, it's saying, let's see, Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5, dual band, of course it's going to be. And it says Bluetooth is 4.2, the latest Bluetooth is 5.3. And we look around these pictures here. RAM is upgradable, it's not soldered in according to these pictures. We're going to verify everything. So if I had a criticism, it would be that Wi-Fi should be at least Wi-Fi 6 at this price point. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is not soldered down and it'll be something that you could easily upgrade yourself. It's only like 20 bucks for, what is it, an AX210, AX210. There's one for $18. It's a pretty cheap upgrade. No, wait a minute. That's, yeah, Bluetooth 5.2. Here's Bluetooth 5.3. So if you want the latest and greatest, $22.48. All right, so just so you know, but we're gonna have to open this up and see, in fact, if it is an upgradable Wi-Fi card. And we're gonna do that today. And I've done something a little bit different today. And that is, if you've noticed, it is still wrapped in cellophane. I have not prepped this. What drives me a little bit crazy is when I get these and they're missing a bunch of updates, and then we sit here waiting for updates to complete. I've decided today I'm going to do this differently, because when I take it out of the box and I update it, you guys miss the unboxing experience. Now, I don't know how important that is. You guys will have to let me know if you care or not how it comes out of the box. Some places, some content creators make a pretty big deal over showing the unboxing. I don't really think it matters how it shows up in the box. You know, whether or not I've already taken it out of the box. Let me know if you care about that. Because ultimately, your unboxing experience is going to be very short-lived. As much time as it takes to take the product out of the box, and then who knows where the box goes. So I think people emphasize the unboxing unnecessarily, unless there's something unique about the unboxing, like that router from yesterday, the BE800 Wi-Fi 7 router from TP-Link. The way the box opened was kind of cool. This is a regular old box. So anyway, you'll have to tell me if you care, because me personally, I don't care about stuff like that, but I also like to make sure you guys have properly set expectations if you decide to order something that you see on my channel, that you know exactly what you're getting. So everything you're about to see here is live, unscripted, and unrehearsed. I have no idea what's in this box. There could be a brick in here for all I know. The machine could be broken for all I know. So just like you, when you get something, you unbox it and you hook it up and you start to use it. That's all I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing you do at home. The only difference is I've got a camera on so I can share the experience, so that you can kind of have the experience virtually. So if you do decide to buy something like this that I'm showing on my channel, you know exactly what to expect. It's almost like you've already done the unboxing. Okay, there we go. That's how it's in the box. We've got documentation. We've got the mini PC itself here. I'm going to walk this over to the camera, and we're going to take a closer look at the ports and just the overall shape and design. So up front, exactly as pictured, two USB 3 Type-A's. There's our USB Type-C, headphone, headset, microphone jack, power, and that is either a reset switch or an LED. I'll have to figure that out. when we get it powered up. We've got a warning on top during the system boot process. If you cannot log in, turn off the Wi-Fi. Yep. Got a QR, wrong way, Carrie. We've got a QR code and we have Go Faster stickers. And on the sides, there's nothing. And on the back, there's not two HDMI ports, as that's what I thought. It's exactly as pictured. One display port, one HDMI port, two USB 2s, and then 2 gigabit LAN connections here, and then our barrel power connector here. On the bottom, we've got our cooling fan, because that's where the CPU sits. And if we turn this around, they have information on how to contact them if you need support, along with their website. And then we have information about how this machine came equipped. 16 gigs of RAM. They keep calling a solid state drive ROM. That drives me crazy. I hate that. And, do we have to take off rubber feet to open it up? Yeah, we're going to have to remove rubber feet to open this. The screws to open this up are underneath these rubber feet. I don't like it when companies do that. I wish they could just drill a hole in the rubber foot or move the rubber feet in a little bit. The problem gets to be that after you remove the rubber feet, sometimes the little sticky substance on the bottom of the rubber feet stays attached to the case, and then it never sticks right ever again. Maybe they give us spare rubber feet. It's just something that's unnecessary and not a very difficult thing to be considerate of for your customers. Okay, power brick is relatively small here. Interesting. So this power brick, if we look at the stats on it, bring it up to the camera, pretty small power brick. It's not like one of those big laptop bricks. And here's the information on the bottom of the brick with regards to our voltage, wattage, amperage, 19 volts. Okay. And it's a round barrel type connector. And then finally in the box, we have some screws. I'm going to guess you can put a 2.5-inch SATA drive in here. And I'm also going to guess there's a VESA bracket in here for mounting this behind your monitor or hang it on a wall. Yeah, here it is. This is our VESA bracket. Now, I've never mounted a computer behind a monitor before, but if you wanted to do that, that's what this is for. And then if you do that, then you want a really short HDMI cable, right? Because if this is mounted behind your monitor, you're only going a foot or two from the video output of this to the video input of your monitor. So they include a short HDMI cable for that reason. It's likely going to be too short if you're going to set it on your desk and then run it over to a monitor. Okay. That's all that's in the box. And we'll get this wire tie removed. Thomas Mac T says hello. Hey, hello, Thomas. Well, we're missing our friend Peter Lightcock today, but I'm sure he'll watch this later. And when he does, hi, Buster. Cheers, my friend. Hope things are going well for you in Scotland. And our friend Jack Wilson. I don't see him in there yet today, but I'm sure he'll watch it later. And hello to our friend Jack. Let's get this thing plugged in. We'll fire it up for the first time and see what it's like. So to do that, I need a keyboard and a mouse, which I have back here. Turn these on. And I'll just use one of these USB 2 ports back here. Why waste a USB 3 port on a keyboard or a mouse? And then I need an HDMI cable, so I will grab the one I've got laying on the floor here that goes into the capture card so you guys can see exactly what I can see. Basically, with this cable right here, I am plugging in. How many monitors am I plugging in? How many viewers do I have right now? 271 viewers. So this cable is going to plug into 271 monitors. You'll see what I mean. So I'll just plug that in right like so. I'm going to leave the LAN cable unplugged, because as we go through our out-of-box experience, setting up Windows 11 or heck, even Windows 10 for the first time, if Microsoft senses you have an internet connection during initial setup, it forces you to create a Microsoft account. And there's nothing wrong with a Microsoft account. It's just that I don't have one, I don't want one, and I wouldn't even sign into one if I did on a client's machine, on a machine that's going to a customer. Now, apparently I have hit the power button on this because I see the power button is lit up on the front. So let me switch over to the HDMI input and see what it's doing. Let's do this. I'll take myself and put myself up here in a corner. And it's doing something. John Paul Bacon says you could probably buy new rubber feet, just generic sticky rubber feet. Tear these feet off and put your own feet on away from those screw holes. That's true. I'm sure you absolutely could do that. They're very inexpensive. You could buy them in Amazon or even any hardware store will probably have little generic rubber sticky feet. They don't have to be a specific shape or height. That's a good point to make. Sometimes the easiest answer is the best one. It would just be nice if the manufacturers that intend for you to be able to upgrade the machine didn't cover up the screw holes with rubber feet that are stuck with sticky tape or glue. What they should have done is either put a hole in the rubber foot, mold it that way so you can put a screwdriver through it, through the center of the foot, or design the hole so that the rubber foot is a plug instead of a sticker, so that it fits into the hole without any residue, without any stickiness. Okay, so I'm going to turn off camera 1 here for a minute so we can go through the setup together, and we'll see if it's going to require a Microsoft account or not. So I always go through this the same. English, yes. United States, yes. US keyboard, yes. Another second language keyboard, no, skip. License agreement, accept. Who's going to use this device? Oh, look at that. It didn't even try to connect to a network. User, enter. Password, enter. We'll leave it blank so it just boots right to the desktop. Now, I like to leave location settings on. That's going to set our date and time for us automatically. And keep our date and time current, because usually computers, they lose seconds, which leads to losing minutes. And over the course of a few months, your clock can be off by several minutes. So every time you boot up Windows, this thing will periodically synchronize with the time clock on the internet and make sure that it's always well within synchronization of the accurate time. So other than that, I turn everything else off and hit accept. And it'll finish its sequence of preparing Windows 11 for us. When the desktop comes up, I can then connect it to the wireless, or in my case, plug it in physically to the network, and then we can do our updates. David wants to know, would these mini PCs make a good home theater PC, or would you say it's overkill? It really depends on the kind of home theater videos you're going to be watching. So if you want to play video games on your home theater, on your big screen, these are ideal. If you want to play back your own highly encoded files, so let's say they're HENC, HEVC, X265 files, they're going to need quite a bit of processing power to decode those. And so something like an older Fire Stick may not have the processing power to do that. A machine like this is probably, I wouldn't say it's overkill. I would say that if you're somebody who's going to do more than just watch movies from Netflix or Amazon Prime, but you're going to provide your own content, then something like this is ideal. I've also noticed it's very quiet. I don't hear it. So whatever idling temperature it has right now, that's a very important consideration on a home theater PC. You don't want the noise of the fans of a computer. And it's black, which a lot of home theater equipment is all black. And it's small and out of the way. You don't want something distracting you from the home theater experience. Now, I'm going to come around I'm going to describe to you what I'm doing since I have camera 1 off. And I'm going to take my Ethernet cable and I'm going to plug it into either of the 2 network ports in the back. Doesn't matter which one we use. And down on the bottom right, we should see the little globe turn into a little computer screen. There it goes. That means it's got an IP address, all these icons filled in. And I usually uninstall things like Spotify. These are very tiny little apps. It's not really bloat, it's clutter. So I will remove the clutter. Anything I'm removing can be easily added back or free by the end user. And it's not really taking up any system resources. It's just adding clutter. So I want you to understand the difference between clutter and bloat. Bloat is installed applications, in many cases, PC security software, things that are very resource heavy and they're wound into your registry and everything else. Clutter is just shortcuts and, you know, little tiny, super teeny tiny little applications like, I don't know, like the Spotify app or the Messenger app or the Instagram app. They're super teeny tiny. So we're going to go ahead and start downloading these updates. And while we're doing that, let me just move this over for a second. Let's take a look at our device manager and let's see what kind of network card we have in here. So device, whoops, wrong button, Carrie. Back. Right click, device manager. Of course, from the factory, you should have no missing device drivers, okay? If you buy a new computer and it's got missing device drivers, it's up to you if you want to fix that yourself. If it were me, I'd make the company fix it. But obviously, not a problem here. Kamrui is a good company. They do a great job with how they set up the computers. And there is no bloatware installed either, and I think that's an important consideration as well. Looking at our network adapters, let's see what we have installed. Now, the i225 is a 2.5 gig controller. That's what the 2.5 on the end is for. I think that's a 2.5 gig network connector. Let's just see, what did we connect it 2.5? Because the new router has a 2.5 gig, only offers 2.5 gig on the back of the new router. So it's a side effect, I guess, of a benefit of this new router is I can now verify LAN speeds. How do I do this? Right click, network and internet settings, Ethernet. What speed are we connected to? We are connected at 2.5 gig. Okay, so the information that these LAN adapters were 1 gig is wrong. So first of all, I will let Kamrui know that they've got inaccurate information. They're underselling this device. Both of the LAN adapters are the same. They're both Intel i225Vs. So that means they're both 2.5 gig Ethernet ports. I also think there is no 2 terabyte limit on the storage. And they call the storage ROM when it should say SSD. And I've told them about this before, and I'm going to keep telling them until they straighten it out. It's a misuse of the terms. Now, with regards to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, what do we have? Let's take a look at the Wi-Fi adapter. This is wireless AC. So wireless AC does, in fact, sound like Wi-Fi 5 to me. In the chat room, Cuss Kansas wants to know, would I prefer this over the UM560 XT for connecting with a 65-inch 4K TV? I don't really think it matters what size TV you're connecting with. And I haven't had this long enough. I mean, how long have I had it out of the box? I think it would be very irresponsible for me to tell you I prefer one over the other when I've had this out for minutes. At the end of the day, it's a decision you have to make anyway. It's not a decision I can make for you. Both of them are going to do the job. I'm not sure what the price difference is, and I'm not sure what other purpose you might have for the PC. And I can't tell you because I've looked at so many mini PCs that I can't remember specifically the details of the, what was it, UM560 XT. I can't remember what that is. I'd have to go back and look. But I can tell you this one so far is off to a good start. I like the way it looks. I like how quiet it is, and that's an important factor. And with that 50% off coupon code, I really like the price, and I don't know how that compares to the UM560 price. So also, this has 2 Ethernet ports in the back, which could be useful depending on how you're using the machine. I can't remember what the other unit has. So overall, this would make a good home theater PC, I can tell you that much. But how it compares to others with all those other variables, I think at the end of the day, it's still going to be up to you. Both of them will do the job with no problem. Starshine says, if you remove the rubber feet, you could just put a couple of beads of builder's silicone. I use the clear one for bathrooms. It sticks good. It has properties like rubber. Yeah, but that seems like a bear to get that back off every time you want to open it up. Look, I work as a technician for a living. I'm not going to carry around a silicone tube and do stuff like that when I'm charging my customers $125 an hour for my time. Systems need to be made, if they are upgradable, they need to be made with that consideration that customers can get in and get out, and we don't have to damage anything. Whether it's rubber feet, regardless, it's still taking more time, and something as simple as a hole or moving the rubber feet away from the screws would easily solve the problem. But for you at home, as hobbyists, you want to tinker around with stuff like that, yes, that is a viable solution. You could do that. I wouldn't. You could. Luke Greenia says the Ace Magician CK10 that he has been streaming with Plex flawlessly for him. Yeah, well, that's an i7, so I imagine if it was an i3, it probably would be streaming with Plex just fine. And David Ice confirms, yeah, that is Wi-Fi 5 802.11ac. So that apparently is accurate. Can we upgrade it? Not sure yet. Let me go back over to the full screen for me here and see how we're doing on our Windows update. And was there anything else I wanted to look that I wanted to check out? Let's make sure Windows is activated. There's some shady mini PC manufacturers that will send you an unactivated copy of Windows. And I just want to verify that we're not in that situation. Not that I have ever been in that situation with Ace Magician or Kamrui, but it's definitely something I want to check. Let's see, where do I go? System. We can verify AMD Ryzen 5 5560U. Idling right now 2.3 gigahertz. 16 gigs of RAM is installed. 15.4 is usable because the onboard Radeon graphics are using the 0.6. Scrolling down, we have Windows 11 Pro. It is 22H2. Hallelujah. It's not 22. It's not 21H2. So I'm glad to see they're using the latest version, so we don't have to do that big upgrade that takes a while. And is it activated? Well, let's find out. We'll go up here and we'll type the word activation there. See if Windows is activated. Windows is active. Perfect. Everything is spot on, lovely, exactly as it should be. And well, we could restart right now. I don't want to because I want it to finish downloading these files. And one is the big display driver from AMD. So we'll let that finish. And then we'll restart when those 2 other items have finished downloading and installing. If we restart now, they're just going to start over again, and we're going to have to wait even longer. So that's why I don't just hit restart now when the button becomes available. If you think you're going faster, you're actually making it slower because then you have to start over what it was in the middle of doing. I don't know why Microsoft does this, by the way. Why doesn't Microsoft wait until everything's done before making that button available? I have no idea what they're thinking. Maybe they'll address that in another update, but you know, what are you going to do? Starshine says, if I bought a computer that had silicone on it, I'd give it back quick smart. Michael Dane said, I see Intel is discontinuing the 11th gen CPUs. Oh, geez, I thought they were already discontinued. There goes our video driver install. That's why the screen went black and then came back. That's typically a sign that the video driver is being replaced. Edward is new here. He says, I thought Kerry was a hobbyist. No. Unlike most tech channels, I'm an actual working computer technician. I have authored books about computers published by McGraw-Hill, available for sale at Amazon. I have been a radio show host on technology for over 6 years. That was nationwide. I have taught at the college, Computer Basic 101s, and furthermore, I've assisted in the writing of other books on networking, as well as being in the industry as a professional, doing desktop support for both desktops and laptops since 1991. That's when I got my first job at TriStar Computer Corporation, where they sold out of basically Computer Shopper magazine worldwide machines, all hand-built for the purpose of AutoCAD. Yeah, that was my first real computer gig, and I've been doing that ever since. And I'm just here to share my experience with you. Well, the hobbyists and enthusiasts that are the primary source of entertainment and information here on YouTube in technology, they do a wonderful job and they're highly entertaining. A lot of what they do is so impractical and unrealistic that if you think by watching that, that's what you're going to do if you want to be a computer tech, you're going to be in for a shock. Secondly, no customer has ever paid me to install, well, no corporation has ever paid me to install RGB or liquid cooling or did any overclocking. I don't do overclocking in my business. I've never done it. It's too costly for support. That is strictly a hobbyist or enthusiast activity. And there are a few boutique computer shops like Remus Computer Solutions in Las Vegas that will overclock systems. They'll find the stable overclock. They'll spend a week on one computer just getting it tuned to be fast and reliable, to find the balance, to get the right cooling solution in. And then they warranty those systems for like 3 years. And those systems, because of that warranty and because of that investment of labor that has to go into fine tuning them, those systems are going to cost you quite a bit of money. So as a hobbyist sitting at home doing that stuff yourself, blowing your money on stuff like that, that's all well and good for you guys, but I would not be in business if that's what I did for a living, because nobody pays me to do that, basically. And most of the income that I earn comes from corporations, not from residential customers. Most people that are into overclocking and liquid cooling and RGB, they're going to do that themselves. Or they might buy from a boutique builder like Falcon Northwest, or I don't know, one of the gaming companies out there, and almost always be disappointed. Almost always be disappointed with what they get. Because if you build it yourself, you can have exactly what you want. You can have the quality you want. You can have everything running the way you want it to run, and you'll save money. Those boutique system builders are very, very pricey. So again, not any way I've ever earned a living. And so I try to keep things very pragmatic, very practical, down to earth and realistic. And if you like watching the enthusiasts and the hobbyists toying about, nothing wrong with that either. I enjoy toying about the same as everybody else. I also like being able to pay my bills at the end of the month. And the toys, they don't earn money for me. They cost money. The actual work of fixing things and upgrading things and selling new computers to customers that are reliable, they don't have a lot of support costs. And that's done by not using liquid coolers, because liquid coolers are temporary. They only run for about 3 to 5 years on average. They have to be replaced. Overclocking is a weak little way of getting a little bit more performance for a lot more money. So $1 per megahertz, it's a ripoff. And every 6 months, there's a new CPU out that out of the box runs faster than the little bit that you added for all of this money. So it's just cheaper. Just wait 6 months, replace your CPU if that's what you want. That's my opinion. And of course, you can feel differently. That's allowed. But that's what I do here on my channel. And what you do on your channel, it's whatever you want. All right, let's see how we're doing over here on these updates. Is it done yet? Now we're 35% on the install, so almost ready for our first reboot. Frank Jimmy says, hello, Uncle Kerry, and all in the chat. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday. Right on. Thank you, Frank. Welcome in. You know what? Is this a Gen 3 or a Gen 4 NVMe drive? Or is it SATA? We still have to test that. I'll put Crystal Dismark on here. We're going to check it out. And then soon after that, we'll open it up. We'll take a look at the insides, okay? Edward says, I work for a large corporation in IT. I've never seen one of our techs have to take a computer apart. That's pretty unusual, Edward. In large corporations I've worked at, we've taken computers apart on a regular basis, but we have two different support departments. You have a help desk, which is going to help people over the phone. And if the help desk requires a specialty where, say, a piece of software isn't working or the customer is not able to log into the network properly, they're having access problems, that goes to a different department. And then when it comes to replacing or diagnosing a customer at corporations routinely replace their computers about every 3 or 4 years on average. Sometimes they'll go as long as 5 years, but it's usually around a 3-year average. And it's a different part of the IT department whose job it is to go out and replace the computers, get them configured and get them replaced, to deploy them, to take the old ones back, sanitize them, and do whatever they do with those, whether they donate them or sell them or move them to a different department. That's all decided by the corporation. Just as a corporation will have a different part of the IT department for databases and development, programming, DevOps, and then you also have a different IT area for administrative and server support. So you most likely are in an isolated part of the IT department, or the corporation you work for is very, very tiny. It is fairly routine to have to go to a customer's desk, and so the customer is the employee. Customer opens a help desk ticket, computer won't turn on, gotta swap a power supply, or we're doing an upgrade across the company, we're adding more RAM, or we're changing storage drives, and that gets assigned to the IT department to deploy. Or the customer's just having a problem and they need somebody to come out on site. The mouse isn't working, the keyboard isn't working, what have you. And so the business class machines are very, very easy to open and get into. And again, it's nothing you're going to see here on YouTube. Not very often. There are a couple of YouTube channels like Serve the Home, STH, and they show you some of that business class stuff. And it's much more money. Actually, it's a little bit more money, but it's so easy to work on. You're in and you're out. And it has to be, because IT departments have to support, in some companies, like when I worked at Intel, over 5,000 employees at this one campus. So that's over 5,000 workstations. And they all have to be configured before they're deployed. And then when they're retired, they have to be decommissioned and sanitized. And it's a full-time job, let me tell you. John Williams says, I bought a toy over the weekend, a 1968 Ford Mustang with a 429 V8 Beast. Yeah, you know, for me personally, and that's a beautiful car, by the way. I like the comfort of a modern suspension and Bluetooth and a good stereo. And I like getting good gas mileage with fuel injection. And I like to have, you know, engine computers controlling the engine timing. I like having 8 gears or 10 gears in my automatic transmission. I like the comfort. I like the air conditioning. So for me personally, I wouldn't own one of these old cars because to me, they're uncomfortable, they're expensive, and they're irreplaceable, right? So if you get into an accident and it's not even your fault, somebody hits you, even if you park the car and someone swings their door open into you in the parking lot while you're inside the store shopping, you come out to find this ding in this. Yeah, I would have a hard time enjoying that vehicle if it were me. I'd be afraid to drive it, or I wouldn't be afraid to drive it. I'd be afraid to park it and walk away from it unless it was in the garage. Give me high blood pressure having a car like that. But I will admire yours. I'll let you own it. Same with a boat. I won't own a boat, but I will be very happy to join you on your boat anytime. I'd love to be on boats. I don't want the boat maintenance and licensing and insurance, and yeah, it's too rich for my blood. David G says, I always love when you talk about your business. Are you still building many office computers these days? You know, understand that when I build computers for offices, they're usually good for a few years. So it's not like they're ordering computers from me regularly unless the office is in the process of growing. I essentially have three retainer clients right now. Of those three, two of them I've had for nearly 20 years. And those owners might be getting close to retirement time, so they're not really expanding their business. One of them recently expanded their office space and then installed a bunch of new networking equipment that they didn't consult with me on, had somebody else do it, and completely flipped the place upside down. And that was a real nightmare for me, and it really upset me because I didn't have that in my schedule, right? It just interrupted my plans because they now spent all this money to have somebody do work who only did what they were paid to do, and in the process took out everything else around it. So they called me to put everything else back up and running. All the printers were offline. They essentially took them. They were supposed to add on to the network. That's how it was explained to me, but they didn't. They usurped my network. They replaced my network. And they only replaced it with the thing they were doing, setting up cameras and setting up access points. But they also put in their own router, and they put in a bunch of other equipment and completely bypassed everything. And they even changed the internal IP address. So everything that was static coded absolutely went offline. It wouldn't work. And instead of calling that person to say, hey, fix the damage you've done, they were done with that person and said, we don't want to do that. We want you to come and do it. So hopefully nothing like that will happen again anytime soon. That's a big upgrade. They had to spend $30,000, $40,000 on this upgrade. And none of it went to me. But I am the one who had to clean up the mess they left behind. But he's a great customer. One of my favorites, in fact. And they don't do that very often. So, you know, I'll take it on the chin and be a good soldier and march forward. So they're good for a while. The last builds I did for them are Core i. They're generation 9. Can't remember if they're i7s or i9s. But those were some of the builds I showed here with the Corsair 200R. And they probably have 9700Ks. Now, all the computers aren't the same age in the office. So I'm going to have to go back through the office and look at the dates that I stick a label with the date that I build them. And if any of those machines were built in 2017 or before, I'm going to recommend they replace them. So the machines they've got now, I built, I think, in 2019, just before the pandemic, and they're rocket ships even today. If you have a 9700K 9th gen Intel processor, I mean, it's still a rocket. So, and they're going to be Gen 3 SSD, you know, stuff like that. And they don't really benefit from a faster SSD anyway. Planet Cryo says, first of all, contributes $5 in Super Chat. Thank you, Planet Cryos. He says, between the 10900K 10-core 20-thread and the 11900K 8-core 16-thread, which would you rather for video editing? I would not choose either of those for video editing. I would choose the 13500. Cheaper and way, way faster at video editing. I've got some older computer build videos that I'm pulling down and re-rendering, upscaling to 4K. And when I do that on my 8th gen Dell XPS laptop, however long the video is, you can multiply that times 2. If it's a 2-hour long video, it'll take 4 hours to render that in 4K from a 1080 source. And on this streaming machine, this will kind of meet in the middle. So if it's a 2-hour video, this will maybe take a little over that to render it out in 4K. But the 13500, the Core i5 13500, not the 13500K, the 13500, at least with Cyberlink Power Director, although I think it's true of any video editing software, no matter what you have, it's going to go to 100% on your CPU usage. And so even though I am only using the onboard video on that, I can render out a 2.5-hour video that I'm upscaling to 4K in 55 minutes. It's literally like a third of whatever the length of the video is. And it's doing that with onboard video. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at the Core i5 13500K for video editing. It blows the doors off everything. Remember, I've got a video card in here, a 3070. And when I tell Cyberlink Power Director to use my video card, it actually renders slower. Now, depending on what video editing software you're using, you can render a video, hit Control-Alt-Delete, go to your task manager, look at your performance section, and as it's rendering, see how much resources you're using, how much CPU, how much RAM, how much of your storage. Some video editing software will benefit from faster SSD. Some will benefit from a higher end video card, or some, in the case of Cyberlink Power Director, and almost universally across the board, they almost all benefit from a better CPU. Because as far as I can tell, they will all slam your CPU. No matter what CPU you have, any CPU you can buy today will be slammed at 100%. And certainly that's the case with Cyberlink Power Director. But what a pleasure it is to watch something that's going to take 15 hours on the laptop to process only take like maybe 3 or 4 hours on this 13500, which is cheap. Get the 13500, make sure you put it on a board with DDR5 RAM and use a Gen 4, or if you can afford it, a Gen 5 NVMe. No need to buy a graphics card, and you're going to have probably the fastest video editor you've ever seen. At least that's been my experience with Cyberlink Power Director and that 13500 system we built. I didn't know it was going to do that. I've stumbled into that completely by mistake. But I think it is the best chip out there for video editors on a budget. You don't need to go to that 13900 KS and then have these loud fans and excessive cooling and all this power draw. It's a lower power chip, so it doesn't require any additional cooling. In fact, the CPU comes with its own cooler. And while that can get a little bit loud, if you put it in a good case, you barely hear it. So let me know what you think if you end up going with a 13500. I'm telling you, no regrets. I say no regrets because there's there are pictures of people getting tattoos where it says no regrets. And whether or not that was done mistakenly by the tattoo artist or it was done intentionally, because you can't undo the tattoo, right? So, I think it's hilarious. No regrets. All right, let's get back to, oh, wait. David G said, I'm using a 13500 CPU with a 3070 Ti for editing and gaming, and it plays all my AAA titles perfectly. Oh, yeah, I imagine that would be, yeah. That would be very adequate. I mean, the 13500 is the bargain of a chip right now. I think it's better than anything AMD offers. Price to value, the fact that it runs good on its own cooler, and it's an attractive looking cooler and super easy to install. A thermal paste is already applied. You just push down on the little plastic towers, plug it in, you're done. Yeah. Taste the rainbow, my friend. That's all I'm saying. Elko said, I'd love to see how long it would take me to upscale one of your videos on my AMD 7950X in comparison. Well, to run that test, what you could do is you can download the video using a YouTube video downloader, get it in 1080, Then I use CyberLink Power Director, and I render out in 4K. So it's going to upscale that 1080 to 4K. And then you'll see how long the video is. If it's a 2-hour long video, and then you set to do 4K MP4 encoding, see how long it takes. Super easy test. And then if you tell me which video you did it with, I can run the same test on the 13500 with no discrete graphics card. And I'll bet you my 13500 is faster than yours. I'll bet you. But I've never tested an AMD 7950X, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Harry, do you have an Amazon wish list? I'd like to repay the channel for all of this content. Yes, if you, well, I'll show you here. We could, let's go full screen. You know what? Let me get rid of camera one here for a second so I can see this desktop. I need to pay more attention to what I'm doing over here. I get too involved in conversation sometimes. I want to go back to Windows Update. Settings, so Windows Update. Check for this. And bring up browser here. Sync data, continue without data, check the box. Okay. So if we go to Amazon.com/shop/Harry Holzman, that's going to bring up my Amazon store page. Now there are 3 main stores here. Things that are on sale right now. There's some really good deals on solid state drives and RAM happening right now. This is equipment and tools that I use. There's 145 items, 146 items in here. This is everything that I'm using to make these videos, the tools I use, the network equipment, the camera equipment, the tripods, the lights, the stands, all of it. The keyboards I use, it's all in here. Now this says production equipment wanted. You see there's only 12 items and it's all pretty expensive stuff for the most part. There's a 10 gigabit switch. There's a network cable tester. I don't do much of this work anymore, so this isn't critical. This is a high-end Magewell capture card. It'll do 4K. It's $1,800. This could be fun to make a video on, but it's just stupid. I don't actually want this for myself. I just think it'd be kind of a fun video because this is over the top. I guess I can. So I just did the review on the BE 19000. This is not released yet. And I probably will take this off my list because honestly, I don't know that it's worth me upgrading to this now. Other than to review it, I don't think having that extra band is going to benefit me. These computers are just giveaways. If you send any of these, I'm going to refurbish them and use them as veteran giveaways. And this is just a modern version of these off-lease business computers that are super tiny. The ARC 55-inch curved gaming screen, I'm on the fence about this. I might take this off the list. And I'm on the fence about this. But you can see all this stuff is kind of pricey. What I encourage people to do is if you look at my YouTube on this video and on any video that I make, we go to Harry Holzman, if I can spell my name right, and we literally click on any of these videos, like, let's go to videos, and let's go to anyone. I'll just click on that one. Pause. If we go to right here, it says show more, and then this is going to have all the details of everything in my video where you can purchase, you know, in this case, the Kamrui PC would be listed there. And as we scroll further down, this is where you can get cheap Windows 10 and Windows 11 and Office guaranteed to work legal product codes, license codes for a fraction of what Microsoft wants to charge you for them. There's a link to the instant house call remote support software that I use, that I support my clients with. I highly recommend it. I use it myself. There's 30% off brand new RoboForm subscriptions. Product I use myself. No coupon code is necessary. You just go to that link and the discount is applied automatically. It says help keep this YouTube channel sponsor free by contributing an Amazon gift card. That way I can buy what I want to buy instead of you saying, here, I'll send you something, and it may be something I don't want. So that's a very generous and thoughtful gift. Or you can contribute via PayPal. PayPal will take 3% of your gift, but at least I get it instantly. Then the Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 Optimizer, the NetFix tool, and the AMD Chipset Notifier are little applications I've paired up and teamed with D7X Tech. And they're very inexpensive, and they're very useful tools. And I do use the Windows 10 Optimizer on Windows 11. I don't know that it's really helping much, but it's not hurting anything. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter. And yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. I like questions like that. Heck yeah. All right, and we'll download and install this cumulative update, turn on auto updates, and we'll let that run. Kevin Smith says, I'm thinking about getting the NZXT H7 Flow. It's rare I see you compliment a case like that, and it looks beautiful. That's pretty universal with me in NZXT cases. You know, going back to the Threadripper build, we used an H7, or the Nuka-Cola build is also an H7, or even the 210, the NZXT H210, which I don't know if Thomas is in the chat, but Thomas bought the black and red H210 from me. Just universally, I like NZXT cases. I like the build quality. I like the cable management. I like that single plug for the front port I/O. Yeah, what's not to like? Unfortunately, they're just not good business class machines because they're glass panels and things like that. I wouldn't use or sell to a business. But for home use, one of my favorites for sure. Planet Cryos contributes again $5. He says, yeah, I need to get a build for 13th gen this year, but I have a 10th, 11th, and 12th right now. I was just making old tech conversation. He contributes again $5 and says, I got to get the 13900K. This is what Planet Cryos does, best of the best. Then you want the KS, Planet Cryos, not the K. Come on, my friend. Did you forget who you were talking to? Check this out. Let's go to Amazon. And I don't know what the deal is with the 13900KS, but the price has gone through the roof. So the 13900K is $569. You know what my rule is? I won't spend more than $500 on a CPU. So that is $70 too expensive for me to recommend. And the KS is even worse. Can't even find one for sale here. Let's just do a search for 13900KS. Then we'll hit the shopping tab. Here. Hey, that's not a bad price, 630 bucks. I saw this on Amazon for 850. Oh, that's a 12900. That's why it's so cheap. Where's the 13900? Go to Newegg. I very rarely buy from Newegg, but if I'm looking to see what's available, Amazon doesn't necessarily put everything in the right order for me. So I like how Newegg's system lets you break everything down. So we can say we want components, CPUs, desktop processors, okay? And then we want Intel, and we can apply, and we can just whittle this down. There's a 13900K at 580. That's a little bit more than Amazon. What happened to the 13900KS? Search within for 13900. go. Oh, that's interesting. That's just a 13900. It's not a K. So let's type in 13900KS. I don't know what's going on. Why is Intel? Yeah, it's like it doesn't exist. Am I dreaming it? Did I not build a computer with a 13900KS? Is it all in my imagination, or did I actually install one in the Robot's Foot computer? Isn't that what this box is right here? You tell me. Tell me if this is actually happening, or am I dreaming? This box right here, 13th Gen Special Edition, 13900KS. I don't know why this chip doesn't seem to exist anymore. And if you can find them, they're often over $800. I think I paid $629 for this. So I broke my rule. However, it's for the big Robot's Foot build, which is also going to have this big old graphics card in it. This is going to go to Camera Girl, who has to have the best of the best, and nothing else is good enough. And she bought this for, I don't know what it was, $1,600, $1,700. One of the last EVGA graphics cards they made, a 3090 Ti. So it's a big overkill system, which is exactly what she wants. Nothing I would buy for myself. So in general, the rule is $500 is Uncle Carrie's price cutoff point for CPUs because they depreciate so quickly. The 14th gen is going to be out, or it's a refresh of the 13th gen. I don't know how Intel's going to name that. And likely is going to use the same socket. So I don't know that that's officially 14th gen if it's using the same socket. Time will tell, but something is coming out from Intel, a new generation or an updated generation of the current generation, which I suspect they will not. I'm going to guess they're not going to call it 14th gen. I think they're probably going to call it like a different series of numbers. Instead of 13900, maybe it would be a 13990 or something like, something like that. Intel's not telling us. They're playing their cards close to their chest. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to go big, go to the KS, is all I'm saying. Or wait until the refresh, which will probably be out around the fall, a few months away. David Dix at Rock City PC said he got a 13900 KS at $649, and now it's just crazy. He says, then I bought a 12900K for a customer from Amazon, and it's 100% fake. It was shipped and sold by Amazon, which is weird. Well, hopefully, and I fully expect Amazon made the return painless and gave you your money back. I hear my phone beeping, and that usually means a package is being dropped off, and I don't want it to sit out there. So I'm going to step away from the camera for a second. But in the meantime, we'll go back to desktop here, and we'll leave it on that screen. It looks like it's still putting an update in. And yeah, let me just step away for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, there's nothing at the front door, which suggests to me they put it inside of the garage. That's so weird to be walking in my garage. Okay, it's just something the U.S. Postal guy does. He walks into my garage and he puts the packages inside the garage. I mean, I suppose that's a bit safer from package theft, but at the same time, it's kind of like weird that they're sort of entering into the property instead of staying outside, but that's all right. Very mean stuff. I'm just going to open these packages up while we wait. I think this is stuff I ordered from eBay for some upcoming video content. Let's see. Oh, yes, this is the VoIP phone that I ordered because I'm going to show you guys how to set up a SIP phone, a phone that uses the internet for your phone number to make and receive calls. It's what all businesses use these days. As a business, you know, for every employee, they're going to have their own phone. If you have 100 employees or 1,000 employees, you need that many phones, and you need to be able to transfer calls from one employee to the other, and need to be able to have those phones make outgoing calls. Oh, yes. So on eBay, I found this, and I ordered it because it was super cheap. Oh, it looks like our screen timed out. I apologize for that. The way I fixed that, I just type in the word plan, and up comes edit power plan. And we'll just change that to be 3 hours and never put the computer to sleep. It's not running on batteries. We don't need that computer to go to sleep ever. That's kind of a laptop setting. This is still installing, which is good. I'm going to go back over to camera 1 here for a minute. And yeah, so this is what I got from eBay. And this cost used what a switch of half as many ports would cost new. So you can see we've got 8, 16, 24 gigabit ports. And on the back, it uses a standard PC power cable. And these are great to have if you're plugging in a lot of stuff, if you're the kind of person like me that runs a lot of hard lines. Also, if you have customers that have, like in my case, I manage customers that have offices. And if their networking switch goes down, their entire office is down. And it's a simple thing to replace. It only takes a minute. But if you don't have a spare one on hand, that business is down much longer and it's costing them more money. So I need to have something that I can deliver to a customer at an instant and get them back up and running. And, you know, the customer can choose to buy this, although it's not my intention to sell it to them. It's my intention to just keep them up and running, and then we'll order a proper size switch. You know, they may only have an 8-port switch, but I'll throw the 24-port in there, because as long as they don't need more than 24, we're fine for any size switch that might go bad for a customer. Now, if that customer has a big 48-port switch or something like that, then the customer's got to pick up to 24 we can plug in. And in the meantime, that buys us time to order the right switch for that customer and have time for it to come back into the mail. Or if it's a big expensive switch, they often have lifetime warranties. And so then it would be my responsibility to take the old switch, reach out to the manufacturer, get an RMA number, get it packaged up, get it shipped out. And then the manufacturer usually just sends you a new one. They don't usually repair them. Then when that comes in, I schedule with the customer to go back. I take this back, put their new switch in, and they're good for many years after that. Do I need this? No, I don't need this at all. It's just to have as an option in a scenario like that, and also to use for the upcoming videos that I want to make on networking and how plugging switches into switches works and different sizes of switches that are available, so you know what's the best thing for you to buy, instead of just showing you one thing and then you don't realize there's a lot of different sizes and speeds of switches. And by explaining that to you, you can then have more information to make the right decision to solve whatever it is you're trying to solve. So anyway, it was a really good deal. And if you're looking for like an unmanaged or even a managed network switch that's more than 8 ports, well, a lot of things at eBay are overpriced. For whatever reason, they have an abundance of gigabit switches, unmanaged and managed, that are 24 ports plus that sell for under $50. And yeah, they're used and they might be scratched up, but who cares? They work 100%. So, I mean, it's a switch. It doesn't have any moving parts. So, something to consider. That's all I'm saying. How we doing over here? We're still installing. Screen over here for me. Then it budged. I wonder if it got stuck when it went to sleep. Let's do this. Let's restart it, and it should finish during the restart process. Like in the center of the screen here, it should say installing updates. If it doesn't, then that means we have to go back to Windows Update and try again. That's one of the things I don't like about sleep mode. Yeah, there it goes. It's putting the updates in now. Is sometimes it stops or pauses a process and then it wakes up. That process does not start back up properly. And I think that's what happened. This machine is way too fast for that to take that long. So clearly that tells me something was wrong. I'll put myself back in the corner again. If I can grab the right source. There's camera 1. Up here like that. All right, let me take another look here in the chat room while we're waiting. Daco said he has a 5-socket switch and 2 sockets are still empty. Yeah, you're fine. You're good to go. Joe Carender says hello. Welcome in, Joe. Brad Revel joins us, says hello. Hey, Brad, welcome in. With Amazon going to no more free returns. No, that's not true. Amazon is not removing free returns. You know, one of the great things about the internet is how easy it is to get clickbait and to get people to just read headlines and not read the article. And I suspect you did not read the article, or the article you wrote, you didn't understand it, or the article was just completely wrong. Amazon may start charging for UPS store returns. Whole Foods drop off, Kohl's drop off, all of that's still free. And there's even a way around the whole UPS fee thing, which, by the way, Amazon is not implemented for us here in America. So you're panicking about something that hasn't happened and may never happen. And so we don't have the information yet for you to get outraged over. In my opinion, I think it's very premature for you to come to a negative conclusion about something that hasn't yet been implemented as though it already has. And furthermore, it is not across all returns. It is about a specific type of return or a specific type of shopper at Amazon that returns a bunch of stuff. Like if you're a heavy returner, if you're constantly buying things and returning them, they're likely going to start charging you for that because you're costing them a lot of money. But if you're returning things occasionally, no, it's fine. And there may be some UPS stores where they want to discourage you from using a UPS store because it's costing them more money. They want you to either use a Kohl's or a Whole Foods drop-off, right? Because they own Whole Foods, so it doesn't cost them anything for you to drop that off. So, yeah, let's not spread conspiracy propaganda based on what they might do or when they might do it. Please. When you're told you have to pay for a return from Amazon, you come in here and you let me know. Then you'll have a right to be outraged. I've never paid to return anything to Amazon, ever. And I just returned a couple of things earlier this week, so. Let's see. Luke Greeting says, I'm impressed with Amazon on their returns and refunds. There are people who abuse it. And so Amazon has to respond to that now. And with all the online shopping, returns are killing retailers big time. So something's got to get done because it's being exploited, unfortunately. So companies have to respond. but it shouldn't affect me or you or anybody here in the USA anyway. I can't speak for processes and procedures of Amazon and how they operate in other countries. But yeah, there's nothing to be upset about. Not yet, and maybe not ever. Just be careful of the clickbait, folks. Some of these articles, you know, they're motivated not necessarily to share information, but to get your click. And read the entire article. Don't just read the headline. If you want to have an opinion, at least know what you have an opinion about other than the headline. And you can tell if a story is real or not by Googling it. So if we look at, let's do this. Let's go over here. I have to full screen here. And we'll just bring up Microsoft Edge. Remember, this is all live and unrehearsed. Amazon charging for returns. And you'll see that there will be news items. And notice these were published in April. And this is a reputable news site, right? It's not just some website we never heard of. And it says Amazon will start charging customers a $1 fee if they return items to a UPS store when there's a Whole Foods or an Amazon Fresh grocery store or a Kohl's that's closer to their delivery address. Amazon still offers free return options, and an Amazon spokesperson said the fee would apply to a small number of customers. So again, please don't. You understand what you just did by going into the chat room and spouting out something that was factually incorrect? And it causes harm, and I don't think you meant to cause harm, but please stop, please. Because that, you know, how long have I been talking about this now? And I really want to focus on this mini PC review because we actually have the mini PC in front of us. It's not about what's going to happen. It's about where we're at right now. I don't like this little icon down here, so I'll get rid of that by typing search permissions. There it is. And then we'll scroll down, and where it says show search highlights, I turn that off. Gets rid of that. And then we'll go to Windows Update one more time. And we'll just check to make sure that we're all caught up here with the updates. And then we're going to open this bad boy up and see what's inside. How's that for a plan? Hello. Hey, welcome in, Larry. Patrick Manny said he just returned a dented Steelbook 4K Blu-ray through the UPS store, and there was no cost to me. No, of course not. Joe Corrender says Amazon charges me $7.99 return shipping due to me not living close to a drop-off, and UPS has to pick up the returns from my house. Hey, listen, I wish I could get that kind of service where they'll come pick up the return from me. For only $8, I don't have to get in the car and drive over there. Sounds like a bargain. I mean, that's like butler service. You have like a package valet. Holy cow. Fancy you. All right, let me look over here and see what our results were on this test, not on this check. Everything looks happy. All right, so now let's get the utilities flash drive out. And let's get some information about this little guy before we open it. So let's go to PC testing. We want CPU Z, and we want Crystal Disk Mark and Crystal Disk Info. Just the copying so fast. Holy cow. And then I need, let's see, we'll throw Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer on there, even though it's Windows 11. And yeah, you know what? Let's throw VLC on here because I prefer that as my media player. I usually uninstall the Microsoft Media Player and Groove Music and Movies and TV. I usually uninstall those apps. I don't like them. VLC will do all of that, and it does it much more responsively without included spying, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's just like more overhead that I would rather not use. for something that doesn't benefit me. It benefits them. Why am I using my resources for them? And yeah, let's take a look at what is installed here for solid state drive. So we'll pull up Crystal Disk Info. And we don't see a manufacturer name it here at all. It says it's NVMe, not SATA. Remember, we looked on the site, and it shows it's in PCIe 3.0, PCIe Generation 3 times 4, which is a typical Gen 3 speed. But it doesn't tell us who's making this. As for performance, let's open up Crystal Disk Mark, and let's go to Mark 64. Let's run the full suite of tests on there and see what kind of numbers we get. If it's Gen 3, we're not going to see more than 3600 on a sequential read, and likely under 3000 on the writes. So at 2400, that's pretty slow even for a Gen 3 drive. So this machine is kind of a mixture of mid-range quality components and low-end components. So the solid-state drive, as far as NVMe goes, is a low-end model. The Wi-Fi, being Wi-Fi 5, is a low-end Wi-Fi instead of Wi-Fi 6 or 6E, which is weird because it's really not a budget PC, but those two particular components, the solid-state drive, I mean, at least it's not SATA, because then we'd be at about 550 megabytes per second. But on the other hand, it's not saturating the Gen 3 bus, which is, there's no good reason why it shouldn't. The SSDs are cheap nowadays. So if this were me, if this was my computer, I would upgrade that to a faster drive. We're also going to verify that it's not a Gen 4 slot anyway. I don't think it is, but at the very least, throw a modern. Heck, that Samsung Evo. Have you seen the price on the Samsung 970 Evo Gen 3 drive at Amazon? It's insane. Samsung 970 Evo plus 2 terabyte. Can you believe this? $108, brand new, Amazon Prime, which means free shipping, free returns, for 2 terabytes, and it's one of the fastest Gen 3 NVMe drives that's been made. 5-year warranty. You can use the Samsung Magician software and the Samsung NVMe driver. I was excited when these hit $199. I was excited when they hit $169, and I was ecstatic when they were $129. $108, that's only $54 per terabyte. And it's got a long life, like a super long life on it. That's a heck of a deal, folks. And that would be an ideal upgrade for this little Kamrui. In fact, maybe we should do that. Maybe we'll do that today. Because even on our write speeds at 1900 on a Gen 3, that's not terrible. The read speed is 30% slower than it should be, or in my opinion, what it should be. We're going to go ahead and let this finish, and then we'll open it up and take a look at the inside. How's that? Paul O'Brien said, Kerry, I'm from Ireland. I had to pay for my return, but they told me it was free. My mistake. I placed the barcode in the package and not on the outside. Well, now you know. Now you know. John Williamson, he sent a picture of his Mustang to my email. Okay, I'll check it out. I am a little jealous, if I'm honest. But I just think for the money, I'd rather have comfort and convenience and better gas mileage. But I wouldn't turn down a ride in it, I'll tell you that. It's clearly a nice car. I can tell you that without looking at it. They're easy to work on, and they're very attractive. Okay, so I think that's our final numbers. And still doing a test up here, so we'll wait for that to finish. Now it's doing test 5 of 5. When you see the word stop change, there, now the test is done. And we'll grab a screenshot of this by hitting Alt Print Screen. Then we'll bring up Paint. We'll reduce the size of this box. Just grab the corner of it here. Drag that way up here like that and hit Control V, and that pastes the image file. Save as a JPG, and we'll put it on the desktop, which should be a shortcut in here somewhere to the desktop. And we'll say Crystal Disk Mark. Okay, results. Stock. Save. Perfect. So we've got that saved. We can put that away. And I'm going to shut this down. Like that. And then I'm going to go back over to camera 1. Go camera 1. Right there. Full screen. I'm going to unplug my flash drive. We're done with that. I'm going to unplug power. We don't want to work on these with power plugged in, even if it's off. And I get to remove these little feet, which they're coming off really easy. Knock on wood that the stickiness stays on the feet and not on the, doesn't stay on the case cover here. And you know what? I can get the overhead camera. And we can set that up since Camera Girl isn't here today. That over here. Let's see how. That. Yeah, I think that's good. We'll turn this on. And go to close-up camera. See how close I got it. All right, so this rubber foot. That rubber foot. Well, thank goodness they remain sticky, and those feet are going to go back on, but without a problem, and they'll stay on. However, as it ages, the likelihood of that staying sticky in a couple of years' time, even in a year's time, that's why I just don't like that. Again, it could be to our benefit to not put these feet back on there, but instead put them in, you know, like that instead. You don't want to get in the way of your VESA mount if you want to use it, though, so do keep that in mind. I don't use the VESA mount, but if I change my mind? Screw number 1. Two. And the 4th screw should be it. I think this should just open up now. It does. Now that's interesting that the top, that the bottom, this is the bottom comes off, and this is our CPU fan. This is where the air is coming out. I don't want to take any of this off. It's all got the proper thermal compound and everything on it. And we'll have to, because these are going through the plastic housing, then they will prevent that motherboard from coming out. So that all has to come out. That too. Now I don't see any other screws, so it looks like, being very gentle here, see that little middle piece is getting caught on the plastic. We just pull the plastic away on an angle, so these ports on the other side are still poking through, and then we should be able to just very gently flip that around. Okay, here's our NVMe drive. Here's our 2 sticks, dual channel, 8 gigs apiece of RAM. The Wi-Fi adapter is probably under the NVMe drive, as it is with most of these mini PCs. And I can see these 2 antennas are going underneath there. So what is under here? Is it soldered on, or is it socketed? It's socketed. So we can easily buy one of those Wi-Fi adapters that I showed you at Amazon for 20 bucks. And just pop that card out and put a different card in it. You want to see? I'm going to put that back on when we're done. That's protecting these little antenna right here. And show you what this looks like if we wanted to upgrade that Wi-Fi, just how easy this is, and it's very inexpensive. Because it's Wi-Fi 5. If it was Wi-Fi 6, I'd be fine, you know, if it wasn't 6E. But these are, you know, right around 20 bucks all day long. This one's made by Nick Giga, but it's an Intel-based Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. A little Wi-Fi card. And comes with a couple screws, which we're not going to use. It comes with a screwdriver we're not going to use. And that's the card. And that's what you get for your $23, whatever it was. And apparently I've opened it backwards. So there's our new Wi-Fi adapter. These items can just go like that. So if we want to upgrade this, first of all, you want to pop these off. Now, it doesn't really matter which wire goes where, but it makes sense that we don't want to cross the wires. So the black wire here is going to the connector closest to the screw, and then the gray wire then is on the outside. These are a bit delicate, so when we take them off, you don't want to use force. You don't want to pull it by the wire. This is like a button. It snaps on. It's very tiny. And I have a very tiny little screwdriver that'll work for this, I think. A little straight edge screwdriver. Yeah, that's not going to work. So the other thing I can try, maybe these super pointy VAM pliers, needle nose pliers called VAM pliers. These are pricey. These cost more than that network card, but they're very well made. And we don't want to squeeze too hard on this, but we just want to grab on it and pull up, straight up. See that? It's a little teeny tiny connector with a little tiny pin in the middle. So that makes me nervous to do that because it's very easy to pull the wire and break it. I'd much rather get something under it and pull up. Yeah, that one came off much easier. Then you just take this Wi-Fi card out. So, see, it looks exactly the same as the new one. Right, which one was which? This is our new one. It says right at the tippy top, you look really carefully, which model is which here. Get up at the top, it's super tiny print. Yeah, that's our wireless AC. This is our wireless AX, and that just goes right back in. Goes in just like an M.2 drive. Snug the screw up, it doesn't have to be tight. Said what, the black wire went closest to the screw, right? Actually, I think those needle nose pliers would be good right about now. And again, you don't hold it by the wire, you want to hold it by the connector. It's so tiny. There we go. Or not. A combination of two things. Push this, get this lined up. This is super tiny. It should snap like a little button. Sorry guys, I need to move this closer to me, which means you're not going to see anything here for a minute. I'm reaching far across the desk and it's not a natural way for me to work. And there's the black wire. Bear with me here just a minute. In fact, if you want, so you can see what I'm doing, put that on camera 1. And it's got, I realize you can't really see much, but it's got to be better than looking at the top of my desk doing nothing. Oh, I heard that one click on. Now we can go back. And this is just there to protect the wires from getting snagged on anything. Don't want the antennas falling off because that could very much affect your Wi-Fi performance range. And as for the NVMe, it's something made by Keystone, which looks like somebody's trying to rip off Kingston. Let's set that aside and let's grab, I don't know, let's grab one of the here's a let's use that SK Hynix drive we've got. That's a Gen 4 2 terabyte. I know the Samsung 970 will work. I just want to see if this is a Gen 4 slot. And this will still have the operating system on it from the live mixer build, so it should boot right into this. The only question is it going to boot at Gen 3 or is it going to boot at Gen 4? If it boots at Gen 3, then we know it's a Gen 3 socket. And that buying a Gen 4 drive is a waste of money because it won't run any faster than a Gen 3. And we can look at specs and we can study it, or we can just do it and see the results. And I'm going to trust results more than I trust specs. Somebody says it should be. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. If we wanted to, we can upgrade this RAM. Check this out. RAM is made by a company never heard of before. So we'll take that out and we'll take this one out. It's just standard laptop RAM here. 2 sticks, 8 gigs each. Set those down. And what can we put in there that's inexpensive? You know, I'm sure we could put 64 gigs in there if we wanted to. It would probably be overkill. For about 50 bucks, you can buy a kit of 32 gigs, 16 gigs each. This is 3200 speed. What speed was this? $26.66 on this. Yeah, silicon power, 32 gig kit. We could put 64 in there, but I think that would be silly on a Ryzen 5. If it were a Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9, I would consider it, but I think 32 is much more reasonable. Whether or not that Gen 4 drive is going to be recognized or not, we'll find all of this out when we turn it back on. We'll see that our new Wi-Fi card is found and all 32 gigs are acknowledged. Don't like the packaging. When they do this clamshell packaging, it stinks. I have cut my skin open on the edges of plastic packaging so many times. I got a little PTSD when I do this. One. See, okay, set that over there. This is just a plug and play scenario here. We just make sure that the gold contacts are no longer seen and then push straight down. And we're hitting the CMOS battery right there. A big deal, just don't force anything. It's not moving fluidly. Take a moment to figure out what's preventing it. And in that case, it was just the CMOS battery there. Okay, so there's a 2 terabyte SK Hynix Gen 4. And I'm not going to be putting this back together yet, because if this works, then my next question is that 2 terabyte limit that they say it has accurate? I don't think it is. I bet we could put a 4 terabyte drive in there, but I don't have a 4 terabyte Gen 4 drive that I can use. So we're going to have to do the test separately. I'm going to put this back in its case just to keep it safe, if you will. Does require you have to bend the plastic a bit. Going the right way with this. Yeah, there it goes. Again, don't use brute force if something's not going in simply, then you're probably doing something wrong. See, I got that wire caught up right there. It's definitely stuff you want to watch for, and that explains why I had a little bit of a ridge there to get over. So what I would do is take my straight edge driver here. I'm just going to tuck that wire in. So I want to tuck. Come on now. I just want that moved away from the, there's a little clip there on the side, and it's getting hung up on that little clip right there on the edge. Really just want to push it in. Oh, still getting stuck. Probably an easier way to do this than the way I'm doing it. There. That's better. Okay, and I'm going to leave the top off of it. So we'll go ahead and put our cables back in. So HDMI, power, network, and our keyboard and our mouse, like so. And we'll just leave that like that. We'll turn this on. Fan is turning. Now we're going to go over to the HDMI input. John Paul Bacon wants to know, if you use an M.2 that's Gen 4 and the computer only has Gen 3, the Gen 4 drive will work, but max speed will be the max for Gen 3. Yeah, same with USB. If you have a USB 4 or a USB 3 flash drive and you plug it into a USB 2 port, it's only going to run at USB 2 speeds, but it will work. Now, as snappy and responsive as this was before, I can only imagine it's going to be even snappier and more responsive with that bigger, faster NVMe drive, double the amount of RAM. And although we weren't using the Wi-Fi card before, I wanted to show you how easy and how inexpensive that is to upgrade. Okay. Screen over here. And this is everything that was on the live mixer board, all the software and everything that we were using, and that's why it says DJ Big Red when it came up. And that's why I don't have to reinstall the operating system. Now, if I go to the device manager, does it see that Wi-Fi card automatically and put the driver in for us, or do we have to do it ourselves? Let's see. Device manager. Oh, we're missing a couple of the drivers here. Okay. We're going to miss drivers there too. So we will have some drivers to put on. So let's do this. Intel Wi-Fi AX210, it sees it. Yep, no problem. And without doing anything else, but if we just jump into Crystal Disk Mark, let's see if we're getting Gen 3 or Gen 4 speeds out of this. Oh, and I wanted to verify we have 32 gigs that are of RAM being recognized. So we'll go to System. "32 gigs of RAM is recognized." So, okay. This is pretty much the tippy top of Gen 3. In fact, I haven't seen Gen 3 run much faster than 3600, but this falls within what's possible of the best of Gen 3. So that's good to know. So this is essentially a Gen 3 slot. So buying a Gen 4 solid state drive would be a waste of money, since Gen 4 is going to be more expensive for the same capacity than a Gen 3 because it's faster performing. So why would you spend money you don't have to spend to get the same capacity at effectively the same speed and pay more money for that? Why would you do that? So definitely the Samsung 970 EVO Plus is a good option. Or Team has their 4 terabyte drives for $185. You get a 4 terabyte Gen 3 NVMe drive. But the documentation says that this will only see up to 2 terabytes of storage, and I think that's wrong. I think that is incorrect. So we can try one of the TEAMGROUP 4 terabyte SSDs that's Gen 3. See if that works. I'm going to go ahead and let this finish just so we get some final numbers here. So the gen has to do with the connector? No. M.2 is the connector. The gen is the generation of evolution. This is generation 1, generation 2. With people, you might be a junior or a senior. And every new generation doubles the performance of the generation before it. So generation 4 is twice as fast as generation 3. Generation 5 will be twice as fast as generation 4. And every new generation is twice as fast. But they all use the same M.2 socket or connector. Rob Foster says, I would expect it to see the 4 terabyte. Yeah, as do I. I fully expect it's going to see it just fine. You definitely want to make sure Rob Foster is blue. We'll add him as a moderator. Rob had given a very generous contribution earlier in the week, and it's because of folks like Rob that I'm able to make these videos. When they contribute financially to the channel, it's very helpful for me to acquire the content, right, the product that I need to make the video. Almost done. Davis Parsons said, I'm a generation older plus. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Is it worth it to move to Windows 11 or wait until you have no choice? Well, that's a decision only you can make. I can't tell you. I mean, if you have to ask that question, I think you've answered your own question. If you can't tell me why you should do it, it doesn't sound like there's going to be any benefit for you to do it. And Windows 10 is good until October 14th of 2025, so nothing you need to worry about for more than 2 years. So we'll talk more about Windows 11 in 2025. So We'll ask this again in January of 2025. There's no reason for anybody to upgrade to Windows 11, and there's no reason for anybody to downgrade from Windows 11 back to Windows 10. They're virtually the same operating system, at least for now. We'll see what happens as Microsoft continues adding new features and things through Windows Update to Windows 11 to make it more attractive. But for now, can't imagine why anybody would want to do that. When you order a new computer, if your new computer comes with Windows 11, it's fine. There's no reason to get rid of it and put on Windows 10. But if you have Windows 10 now, and you can't tell me why you need to go to Windows 11, then you don't need Windows 11. If you can't tell me why, I sure as heck can't tell you why. I don't even know you. So, all right, that finishes that test. So let's go ahead and shut this back down. Everything's super happy and easy to work on. So we're going to shut this down, and then we'll go back over to camera 1 here. And then once again, I'm going to unplug everything because I have to flip the whole thing around, which is pretty unusual. A lot of times when you open these units up, the parts to access the RAM, solid state drive, and even the Wi-Fi card are usually just right there, so you don't have to dig in this deep. On the other hand, this isn't something you should be doing very often anyway. I mean, if you do it once and you do it right, it'd be a long, long time before you have to do it again. You know, if you're going to upgrade your RAM one time and upgrade your SSD another time and upgrade your Wi-Fi another time, you're going to be opening it up 3 times. I mean, if you want to, but why not just get everything that you want, the RAM, the solid state drive, you want to replace the Wi-Fi, and do it all at one time. It's cheap stuff. Solid state drives are very inexpensive. RAM is very inexpensive, and the Wi-Fi card is very inexpensive. For the items that we just upgraded, that NVMe drive is a Gen 4 drive. It's $156. The RAM is $50. The Wi-Fi card was $23. And that $156 was wasted because it's Gen 4. A Gen 3 drive is cheaper. So for $185, I can put on the 4 terabyte Gen 3 TEAMGROUP. $185 for 4 terabytes, folks. And what I'm going to do is take this back out, same way I did before. Start with this end, pulling the plastic housing away, lifting up gently. You don't want to yank on those antennas because they will easily break. And I'm going to grab my JIS driver here. And we're going to take out the SK Hynix. Now we're going to plug in this 4 terabyte. Now this 4 terabyte was previously used in a RAID controller card, so it has no operating system on it. Front in first. Come on now. Wasn't this difficult before? I think I've got that seated in there correctly. That's better. I mean, I really don't have to put this back in to test it, but keeps my OCD happy. I wonder if this side should go in first. Maybe if I did it the other way, it would be easier. But if we put in this side first, that way I can more easily deal with this antenna cable that's keeps getting in my way when I try to put this back in. Yeah, if we put this end in first. Just lift up this side. That was way easier, Carrie. All right, plug in keyboard and mouse, HDMI. Power. But remember, we don't have an operating system. So what I can do is I can copy the operating system off of here using my Acronis bootable USB drive. And then I just use my Silverstone TS16 NVMe /SATA enclosure. Oh. You know what? I'm going to use a slightly different one today. I'm going to use the Raven. So the Raven is Silverstone's, it's meant to be a permanent enclosure, right? The other one I use is just meant to be temporary. You pop a drive in it. And the way that this works is it's also toolless, but it's meant to be more of a permanent enclosure. And I think Silverstone will send some of these to give them away. We'll do a promotion to have a little contesting of a couple of these away. What do you think of that idea? Plug that in. Okay. Turn this on. Fan is spinning. Let's go to our HDMI input. And it can't boot to that 4 terabyte drive. It's the only thing it could boot to is this Acronis Rescue flash drive that I have here. So I'm hoping it'll just start to that automatically. Yeah, and it appears to be doing just that. Andre Hernandez has been a member now for 12 months. Right on, Andre. Happy membership birthday to you. Oh, that's not good. Let's see here. Do that again. Maybe pay attention this time. It's booting itself. Okay, well. Let's see. Give me a startup menu. Okay, something about the Acronis rescue disk it doesn't like, so we'll shut this off. We'll just hold the power button in until it shuts off, and I will try the Linux version of the Acronis rescue disk instead. See if it likes that any better. And once again, we'll turn it back on. And let's see if it boots to this Acronis rescue disk. Okay, click screen. Let's just restart it. It may be trying to boot from that NVMe drive, because I don't see the flash drive lighting up. Yeah, I think it's trying to boot from that NVMe drive, so I'm going to have to clear that drive out or see if there's a boot override in the BIOS. Let's look for a boot override first. So first, I want to go back to the original Acronis that I was using, which is a Windows pre-installation environment disk. Let's turn it back on, and then I'm going to hit delete. Well, we haven't looked at the BIOS on this anyway, so it's a good excuse. So start hitting delete or F2, something like that ought to get us in there. Just pressing them over and over until I get some life out of it. There it is. And we'll go over to boot. Oh, you know, it might be trying to boot from the Raven. That may be where our problem is. Yeah, that's what I think it's doing. So I think what I'm going to do, we want to boot option 1, the UEFI SanDisk. That's what I want to see. And let's save and exit. Okay, now it should boot from the Acronis rescue disk this time. That was my bad. See if it's happier. Yep, that's Acronis loading now. And Sergio mentions I could have just left the external drive disconnected until Acronis loaded. That's usually what I do, but I'm a little rusty, I guess. We're going to do a clone. So under Tools, Clone Disk, Automatic. Next, we want to go from the 500 gig drive that's plugged into the USB slot here. This right here, the SanDisk, that's the boot disk that we used just now that has Acronis on it. So that is the other USB connected drive. And where do we want it to go to? Well, hopefully it'll offer us the 4 terabyte internal drive here in just a moment. Right there it is. Next. Replace a disk on this machine. Yep. Next. And proceed. And this is much, much faster than me reinstalling Windows and then going and downloading the drivers, reinstalling all the updates. Watch how fast this entire process is. And, you know, I'm able to just use a USB enclosure for the NVMe drive. So it's not like I've got a lot of wires or any wires really that I have to deal with. And we're already on step 5 of 7. So this is going to happen rapidly. It's about 7 minutes, and it's going to put everything back, our programs, our icons, our wallpaper. Heck, if we had viruses on the system, we're going to put those back too. It's literally making a mirror image. It's just moving it from the 500 gig drive to the 4 terabyte drive. But you did notice it saw the 4 terabyte drive. So this 2 terabyte limit is just a carryover thing that they keep copying and pasting from previous models. And I'm going to make them aware of it and let them know. Because once they correct that, when they copy and paste it in the future, then they should be copying and pasting the right up-to-date content, up-to-date information. Just about done. It's only about 3 minutes left. And that's a full, it's all our partitions formatted, operating system, our desktop, all our data, all of it. No reason not to have a backup, folks. It's so easy to make one. Sure, you got to spend a few bucks for a backup drive, but how much is your data worth to you? It's not worth a few bucks, then don't come crying when you lose it. The other good thing about Gen 3 NVMe drives is they don't get as hot as Gen 4 or Gen 5. So even if this could take a Gen 4 drive, we could have a heat-related problem. And we're not likely going to have any heat-related problems with any Gen 3 drives. All right, it's all done. So now, I'll click OK. And just close this out. Back over to camera 1 so you can watch what I'm doing. So at this point now, I can just pull power, unplug the NVMe enclosure, unplug my Acronis rescue disk, plug it back in, turn it back on. Let's see what happens. Now this should look exactly the way the original drive that it came with looked. Same username, same wallpaper, same settings, same desktop icons. Yeah, exactly the same, except our free space is going to be much different now. Let's go full screen. Let's go to the C drive. Look at that, 4 terabytes. Even though they say it's a 2 terabyte limit, it's not. And how does this compare with Crystal Dismark? Let's find out. And I think that's going to be our final test for today. Are there any questions you have about this unit you'd like me to answer, or try to answer, I should say? Oh, that speed is not good. Something's not right. Something is not right. Why is that so pathetic? Wonder if we have a driver-related problem here. Click. Have any problems in our device manager? No, everything's happy. Wow, those numbers are really bad. Let's try something. Let me stop this test. And let's just boot back into the BIOS, restart. The computer was asking for a restart for the NVMe driver. Oh, did I miss that? All right, well, let's just reboot it then. Let's just do that. Zvi wants to know, did I miss the reply you received from Chewy? Yeah, Chewy basically said, we'll send you a product key. And I said, okay, but it's not Windows 11 compatible. And they said, well, does it have Windows 11 installed? I said, yeah, but it's not compatible. They're like, but it's installed, right? I'm like, I don't think you're understanding me. You sold this computer with Windows 11 on it, but you've bypassed all of the compatibility checks. And I'm asking you, is this computer Windows 11 compatible? And they said, no. And I said, but you sold it with Windows 11 on it. He said, yes. What's the problem? Like, they're either really, really dumb or they're playing stupid. I'm not impressed or happy with Chewy at the moment. But I'll do a follow-up video just on that. But at this point, I cannot recommend buying any of their products. I have another Chewy computer to review, and I will give them a second chance. But we're not starting off on the right foot. Still disk mark one more time here. Still seems really slow. Something's off. I'm going to stop this test right now, and I'm going to go and reset the BIOS, which is what I was going to do. Let's see, go to Windows Update, then we'll go to Advanced Options. Recovery. Advanced Startup. These mini PCs don't usually get BIOS updates ever, just so you know. Unless it's made by Intel or Asus or one of the big brands, pretty much you have to contact support if you have a problem. And if that problem is resolved in a BIOS update, they will send you that BIOS update, but they don't make BIOS updates generally available. This is a brand new model that just came out anyway. Troubleshoot, advanced options, and UEFI firmware settings. So now when we restart it, I don't have to hit the delete key or F2. It'll just restart back into the BIOS. And let's just load the BIOS defaults. Restore defaults. And oh, that was my boot override right there. Interesting. Boot order is fine. I would turn off network boot. CD, SD card boot, turn all that off. What else? There's our TPM settings. Shows our memories at 3200 megahertz, so I guess you don't have to set that yourself. It's nice. We'll save changes and exit. And let's see if that addresses performance of that NVMe drive, because I expect that to be somewhere around 34 to 3600 megabytes per second. I know with these this MP34 4 terabyte drive, I know what it's capable of, and it's not running at full speed for some reason. Let's see. Still this mark. 60-bit. And let's see what it does. That's fascinating. I mean, that's essentially what the other drive it had in it was doing. But we know it's capable of going faster than that. And it is a by 4 NVMe according to the specifications, so I don't know why we're not getting full performance out of it. And that really isn't my concern, to be honest. My main concern, remember the reason we did this test was to see if it would recognize a 4 terabyte drive, because it falsely states that it's limited to 2 terabytes of capacity, which it is clearly not. In fact, I could probably put the 8 terabyte drive in it, and that's likely going to be just fine. It would probably overheat, but it's not a size limitation issue. So it's good to know. And I'm going to email them and I'm going to let them know, hey, NVMe drive that you include is not running at full speed. The Wi-Fi 5, in my opinion, should be a Wi-Fi 6. The 2 LAN adapters are 2.5 gig. They're not 1 terabyte. They're not 1 gigabyte as you guys advertise. And the 2 terabyte storage limitation is not true. And hopefully they will convey that information to the proper people at the company to fix the listing information. Andy wants to know if I've ever used PXE in your career. We used PXE boot when I worked at the corporations, but it wasn't our main way of booting. It was something we would do internally for in the IT department for configuring like new machines and pull the images off the servers. But I very rarely ever used PXE. Tim wants to know, is it on the correct drive? There's only one drive installed, Tim. So it's either this or nothing. Maybe I should ask you, Tim, what drive do you think it's on? Am I missing something? Do you know something I don't know? We can look there. So even that speed is really, really bad. Let's see, full screen here. Go into the device manager. We're probably using the basic Microsoft NVMe driver, which should be fine. Storage controller. Standard NVM Express controller, which is dated when? 2006? Yeah, 2006. So I'm trying to remember if this has the Phison controller. Let's try something here. Phison driver and download Phison NVMe driver. Download now. Downloading the Phison. I don't know that this has a Phison controller. I'm just taking a guess here. Download. Oh, that's interesting. So it's just giving us drivers. So then what I can do is go to the device manager. And then go to the storage controller. Click to update the driver. Browse my computer. Look in the downloads directory. Okay, next. It says I already have the best drivers. So I guess that's probably not a Phison controller on there. There's a better way to do this, but I just thought, it's so easy. I will just check one more time. Browse my computer. More specific with the download. Oh, did I not extract the file? That could be a problem. Hold on a second. I got to extract the file. I did. Extract all. Okay, now they're extracted. Let's try that again. Right click. Storage controller. Standard NVMe Express controller. Driver. Update. Browse. Windows has successfully updated your drivers. Okay, very good. Close. And we need to restart. Exciting, isn't it? When you do this, you could be introducing instability to your system. So if you're already getting the speed you're supposed to be getting out of your drive, putting this driver on will not benefit you. I'm trying to solve a particular problem, and this may solve it, or this could create a whole new problem. I don't care, right? It's not a customer's machine, and nothing we're doing is causing any permanent damage, and I don't intend to keep this drive in there because I need it for the RAID controller. I don't have any spares. So let's try this again. Crystal disk mark. And let's run the sequence of events. Test the drive throughput now. Oh, I've made it worse. Okay, well, I'm missing some piece of the puzzle here, but I'm not worried about that. As I mentioned, that wasn't why I was running the test anyway. I was just trying to see if we can get over the 2 terabyte barrier. For me personally, I think a Samsung 970 EVO would be ideal. Why don't we test that theory out? Still good on time. So let me stop this test. Because even if I got this running where I want it to be, it's still coming out anyway. Not too worried about it. I'm going to shut this down. Ooh, that's a fast shutdown. And then we'll go full screen on camera 1, and I'm going to step over here. And I should have an a Samsung 970 EVO NVMe drive here. So cheap now. I think 32 gigs of RAM with this Samsung 970 is going to be a match made in heaven. I bought a returned one. It was under $100. Whoa. Okay. Once more, we're going to unplug everything. Got a runner. Stay. Yeah, I think we want to go from the front first. The port that sticks out on the front is this headset jack. So once you move that away, oh yeah, that's so much easier to take it out from the front. And then once you've got that lifted up, then pull it like that. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. But yes, 4 terabytes, no problemo as far as capacity goes. Set that over there. It could have been a heat-related problem. Maybe it's running, because that feels really warm to me. Maybe it was getting overheated, and that's why our performance numbers were so low. That's interesting. Let's see how the Samsung 970 EVO does. On all the ports, put that end in first, Carrie. See, the more I do it, the quicker I'm getting. Power. Keyboard and mouse. HDMI. And internet. And I want my Cronus. So we're going to boot and clone again. Turn that on. And in theory, the only thing it can boot from right now is that Acronis. Unless I left an operating system on that 970. Well, there's one way to find out for sure. See what's going to happen. V says, Carrie, clone the original media to the Samsung. That's my plan. Great minds think alike. So I've left it in the enclosure, so we'll wait for Acronis to start up. And plug it into this USB Type-C port right up here. Give that a second to be recognized by Acronis. Go to Tools, Clone, Automatic, Next. We want this right here. Remember, the SanDisk is our Acronis rescue disk. It's going to scan. It should find our 2 terabyte Samsung 970 EVO installed internally. There it is. Next. Next. Proceed. All right. So again, this just takes a couple minutes. And while we're waiting, I'll just look through the chat here and see what I'm missing. David Graham says they cheaped out on the chipset. Well, but we were getting better numbers on the Gen 4 drive. I think it was a heat-related issue. That's what I think. But, you know, I'm guessing, educated guess. I'm going to grab a cold Gatorade, however, since I have a few minutes. Gatorade. Yes. All thanks to the Florida Gators. True story. Taco says, after 20 years, you think it is really worth it? What was you talking? I guess he wasn't talking to me. George says, unfortunately, I need to leave this interesting stream. I'll catch up later. Thanks, Carrie, in chat. Hey, George, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Rob Foster says he's got to go. He says, nice being here live for once. Be well, all. Hey, Rob, thanks for hanging out with us today. I hope we'll see you in a future live chat very soon. Barry Klein says, I need to install a Gatorade kegerator right there in the studio. Bull142 says, will you sell this? It'd be cheaper for you to just, I mean, it's on sale. What is it, 170 bucks? You'd be much better off buying it from Amazon because you could return it. If you're buying it from me, I got to pay $40 to ship this to you. On top of what it costs to sell, you would save money just getting this from Amazon, honestly. Okay, that looks good. The clone is done. I'm going to pull the power cable here, unplug the USB enclosure, pull out my Acronis rescue disk and set it aside, and then plug power back in and then turn it back on, and we're going to boot into the Samsung 970. Now remember, when I put that Phison driver on, I put it on the 4 terabyte drive. That is not part of the original drive. So we don't have to worry about that Phison NVMe driver conflicting when I put the Samsung NVMe driver on. Just for those of you keeping score or trying to foretell potential issues. Okay, we're off to the races. I will grab my utilities flash drive here, plug that into the front, and we're going to grab Samsung NVMe driver and the Magician. Check that. So we'll start by loading the NVMe driver first. Next, agree, next, install. Taco says you can't beat a fresh install. This is a fresh install though. If you have a fresh install and you clone it, is it not a fresh install? I don't understand your logic. Patrick says it's $539. Yeah, I think you're not watching the whole stream, Patrick. I think you need to go back to the beginning. I think you've missed a lot of information. Okay, here we go. Our NVMe driver installed. And let's go to Samsung Magician software. That installed. I mean, if we had to put a heatsink on the NVMe drive, it looks like there's room for it. Not quite sure that's going to be a necessity here. But maybe would have been a necessity on that 4 terabyte drive. I'm looking at that little pinhole that was next to the power button, because sometimes that little pinhole is like a hard drive activity light, like it is on the Asus unit that we tested. But here, I think it's a BIOS reset. I should probably look at that a little closer since I have it open. So this was a used Samsung 970 Evo Plus that I picked up. And it's got a little bit of history on it as far as like having data written to it. I can't remember. So it's 4.8 terabytes out of a 1200 terabyte warranty. That's nothing. It's still like brand new. We can run their performance benchmark. Oh, did I say 179? My bad. Got a lot of information rolling around in my head. Lots of different Wi-Fi standards, solid state drive standards, generational standards, CPU standards, RAM speeds and standards. And so, yeah, sometimes I get the numbers a little fudged. So 270 bucks. Yeah. Richard Cullen joins us in the chat, says hello. Hey, welcome in, Richard. Patrick says that's why I got confused. Well, fair enough, Patrick. My bad. My bad. My apologies. I misspoke. All right, I can't see these numbers. Too far away. I got to walk up to the screen. What does this say? Oh, much better, 3565. Very good, and now we'll do the writes. I think that's about a perfect configuration for this mini PC. 32 gigs of RAM and a 2 terabyte Samsung Evo Plus. Those things are, it's $150. And the computer really does seem to benefit from that performance-wise and gives you a lot more wiggle room in there. Not that 16 gigs and 512 is bad. It just depends what you want to use the machine for. For me personally, I would probably configure it exactly the way I've done just now if I was going to use this on a daily basis. That's how I would want it. Sergio Cochet wants to know the drive I cloned from. Oh, the drive I cloned from was the original drive. So yeah, I didn't clone from a drive from a different computer. I cloned from the original drive in this machine. So it's getting all the same drivers and configuration for that reason. Okay, so those are the numbers according to Samsung. And of course, there's no update for firmware or anything, so we're all current there. So we'll close this out. We'll go to Crystal Diskmark, and then we'll run that and see if it agrees with the same numbers that we just got from Samsung Magician, and I hope it does. Phil Hoffman jumps in the chat and says hello. Hey, welcome in, Phil. We're just getting ready to wrap things up. It's just about 4 o'clock here in Phoenix, about 6 minutes away. Oh, look at those numbers. So much better. Oh, yes, so much better. So I want to say thank you again for joining me today. And the people talking about the price, I think, aren't reading the video notes. So I see Dr. Bill says Amazon has the price at $539. That's exactly what I said and showed. So you're not telling us anything. I get a little frustrated sometimes. The video notes, please read them. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to do, man. I put the information out there and then they just don't read it. Okay. I know they mean well. I know they mean well, but it just takes a minute before you start yelling, sky is falling. It only takes a minute to read the video notes. Okay? Please. Please, begging. I want to thank everybody who is a member of the channel. I want to thank everybody who is a moderator. Thanks to my sister for the intro, and thanks to Camera Girl for the thumbnail for today's video. Thanks to Kamrui for sending this machine for us to tear into it, and it seems like a pretty good deal for what, $279, $269, whatever it was, $269 with the 16 gigs and the 512 and the Wi-Fi 5. I mean, obviously it'd be a better deal if we got Wi-Fi 6 at the very least, but you know, if it suits what you need it to do, that's a heck of a price when you consider how much Microsoft wants to sell you Windows 11 Pro for. Have you ever looked to see. If we go to, let's see, go full screen over here. I hate to do this while we're running the test, but it shouldn't affect it too much. Windows 11 by Microsoft. Let's see if it's up the Microsoft page. Microsoft Store. So if we went to Microsoft and we wanted to buy this directly from Microsoft, Surface, accessories, trade-in, search. Pro, software. $199.99. So for $70 more, you get the whole computer and the Windows 11 Pro. And you're still going to have to download it anyway. You're not even getting any media for that money. Isn't that crazy? Oh, these numbers are so much better. Yeah, 2703, 3530. I'm totally happy with that. Yeah, that's the way you do it right there, folks. All right. I want to thank everybody who contributed during today's broadcast, and that includes Paul O'Brien, Rick Lakes, Mike Visions, a bunch from Planet Cryos, and I want to shout out Andre Hernandez on his 12th month of being a member here, and welcome in a new member, Chris Smith. Thank you guys so much. That membership, that $9.99 a month, goes into paying for items that I can then put on the counter and make video reviews of and such. It's great when I can get a company that wants to send me the product, but a lot of companies won't. You know, ASUS won't send me jack, nothing. And that's okay, because ASUS thinks that when they send product reviewers a product, they're expecting a commercial. And I don't want to work with a company like that. I'll buy the product myself so that I can be honest and truthful and give a review where I don't have to worry about jeopardizing my income from that particular quote unquote sponsor. Charlie wants to know, how do you figure out how long you've been a member? Well, next to everybody's name, you'll see a badge that's a member. There'll be a gold badge, and it'll have a number in it. 6, the number 12, the number 2. And so when people become members, it'll say they're a new member. After a month, it'll say 1. After 2 months, it'll say 2. And then after 6 months, it'll say 6. It'll stay at 6 until they hit 12. And it'll stay at 12 until they hit 24. And it'll stay at 24 until they hit 36. And then that's it. I don't think it goes any further than that for now. But Dr. Bill contributes $2, he says, for my oops. Is that like a swear jar? Thank you, Dr. Bill. I appreciate it. And I'm sure if you go into your settings, your membership settings of your account, it'll list it there as well in your purchase history. So, but yeah, the gold badge that's next to their names, those are supporters, and those are the folks who are making 50% of this content that you're enjoying coming from my channel is only possible through those contributions. YouTube is paying me less for my videos now by 70%. I'm making 70% less than I was 2 years ago, even though the channel is 50% larger or 30, 40% larger. The point is, even though the channel's grown, there's more content than ever before, the YouTube money is going down and down and down and down and down. And that means I either change the kind of videos I make to be where I don't have to buy a bunch of equipment and I can just talk. Talking is free. But as long as people will contribute either Amazon gift cards or PayPal or Super Chat or memberships, that money is not going into me buying a Tesla. It all goes back into buying more parts that I can show on the channel. Ultimately, it leads to more giveaways and at the very least makes more content possible for me to make. So, all right. And we're just past 4 o'clock here. So I think go ahead and wrap it up. Just want to look one more time. There's our final numbers. And then I'm going to go full screen and say thank you again for hanging out with me today. It's been a joy having you here. I hope you will join me again. And I will see all of you hopefully tomorrow about 1, it should be 1 o'clock tomorrow. And again, Friday, I want to remind you, every single Friday, I do a live stream. They start at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And this Friday, we're going to do the Cube build. And it's a case, I can't find this case anywhere on YouTube. It doesn't seem that any other content creator has made it. I'm trying to do things different. I don't want to do what other people have already done. And I think it was because of Mortant, if I'm not mistaken. Mortant had given a very generous contribution to the channel, and I used it to pay for this case, because this case is $372. And I've got a motherboard, a processor, RAM, storage, power supply. So you can add all those hundreds of dollars into it. Also, I can make one video on Friday. But the good news is Mitch Morrison is going to come back, and he's going to help me do the build. And we should have Camera Girl here, and she'll do the close-ups. It should be a wonderful Friday build. Tomorrow, I think I've got another mini PC to review. And then I've got a whole slew of stuff coming up next week that I can't wait to show you. So that's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you again for hanging out. I'll see you all very, very soon. And until next time, bye for now.